A former Flame has surfaced with heavy allegations regarding serious personal violations. Zion's legacy was built on raw power and being a generational phenom. However, bombshell developments and a major criminal sentence have clouded his whole future. As news breaks, the public is left in shock, bracing for the possible permanent collapse of his professional life. The ultimate downfall. Williamson was viewed as an untouchable superstar, the first overall pick in 2019, and a freakish talent from Duke. He was so explosive and physically dominant that experts were already comparing him to legends like LeBron and Shaq before his pro debut. New Orleans wasn't just signing a hoopster. They were betting on a franchise savior and a beacon of hope. That massive hype was completely justified. During his time at Duke, he put up 22 points and 9 rebounds while shooting 68%. Imagine a 284-pound tank moving like a point guard. The college game had never seen a player like him. The NBA hadn't either. Despite health scares and noise about his fitness, the support never wavered. The organization stood firm. The fans stayed loyal, and the league bought in. He was a once-in-a-lifetime force. But the foundation cracked far away from the arena. He started the 2025 season at his best weight ever. Weighing in at 264 pounds, he'd just finished a grueling summer training block. By midseason, he'd ignited a personal best 35-game heater. He was dropping 21.3 points and grabbing 5.8 boards, plus 3.3 dimes, while hitting nearly 60% from the floor. This was supposed to be his big comeback. The moment he finally quieted the doubters, the season, he shifted the entire conversation. Instead, a legal bomb buried months earlier in a Los Angeles court was ticking, ready to burn his whole world down. On May 29, 2025, an anonymous woman filed a 12-page lawsuit in LA Superior Court against Zion Williamson. The legal papers detailed a years-long connection that kicked off back in 2018 when they were both Duke freshmen. She claimed they stayed together until June 2023, through his entire rise in the league. But the details she leaked about that time weren't just messy, they were devastating. The filing laid out a disturbing cycle of sexual, physical, mental, and financial mistreatment across 4 states: California, Louisiana, Texas, and potentially Oregon. She cited 2 specific moments of non-consensual contact, both taking place during late 2020 at a Beverly Hills rental Williamson was using. In the first instance, she claims he targeted her while she was unconscious. The second blew up into a violent clash simply because she wanted to see a friend. The claims of physical harm went even further. The lawsuit also charged Williamson with choking her on at least he once blacked out after being pummeled and stomped. Chilling threats against her family were allegedly made through his personal hired muscle. The legal filing detailed kidnapping, harassment, and the sneaky theft of her electronics to block her from calling for help or a doctor. The accuser's legal representative, Rachel Lanier from the Lanier firm, framed this as a prime case of abuse, where a celebrity uses his status to gag a victim. She championed her client's bravery for coming out after months of intensive therapy. With 9 legal charges, they're seeking between $18 million and $50 million. The entire athletic community froze. Zion Williamson, look at the massive allegations now piling up against his name. An old flame is now claiming he physically forced himself on her. That's when it got real for the fans. No more internet tea, this was a courthouse reality. Zion's defense squad hit back with everything they had. Legal experts from Barrasso, Austin, and their colleagues blasted the claims as total garbage and dangerously messy. They swore the whole thing was a casual, two-way street, claiming it ended years ago without any drama or complaints until now. Taking it a step further, they labeled the woman a gold digger, trying to shake down the star for millions, even claiming Zion reported her for extortion before she even filed. Apparently, there's even an active warrant out for her arrest. The defense is now aiming for a defamation suit to collect major damages. Still, Lanier didn't back down one bit. She told the press her evidence was airtight, with witnesses lined up and a client ready to face a jury. "Nobody is above the law," she stated firmly. "Look, I'm just as lost as you are about what really went down. I wasn't there to see it. That public doubt is now spreading through the NBA. The court of opinion is officially in session. It's that constant friction between a person's rights and the evidence, between a heavy claim and the final word, which became the heart of the entire scandal. The Pelicans saw the chaos and chose to stay loyal to their guy. Owner Gail Benson stood behind him during those June 2025 sit-downs, basically saying anyone can sue for anything these days. Team boss Joe DeMars said he had a deep talk with the star and confirmed he remains the face of the organization. They even guaranteed his salary for the 2025 to 2026 season, worth nearly $8 million because he hit his weight goals. No benching, no fines, just business as usual. But this court case wasn't the start of his troubles. It was just the climax of a story years in the making. In June 2023, while he and Akeem Love were celebrating their pregnancy, adult star Mariah Mills broke the internet by leaking their alleged long-term secret fling. She claimed monthly payouts exceeding $100,000, leaked what she called private DMs, and vowed to drop adult tapes of them together. Her socials got banned, no legal action started back then, but by 2025, following that Jane Doe suit, Mills reportedly reached out to big shot lawyer Tony Busby, famous for suing stars over misconduct, to see about her own case. Busby passed on it. Then, in January 2026, adult star Alyssa Alcantara, known online as Dopachick69, blew up on socials claiming Zion was her baby daddy. She flashed a $2,000 transfer linked to his name, shared side-by-sides of her kid and Zion, demanding a DNA test. Zion's camp shot down every claim. No lawsuit ever materialized. No court cases started, but the internet went wild. Zion is spiraling. This kid was meant to lead the entire league. This off-court drama hit harder than any injury report ever could. Things got even messier in April 2025. Akeem Love, the mother of his child, got busted for breaking in and jumping a woman Zion was seeing. Love allegedly beat her up and trashed her house with eggs. She had to hand over her gun and stay away. Team insiders say that was the final straw for an ownership group that was absolutely livid. Trade talk blew up. Stephen A. Smith took the mess to national TV. People laughed at the joke. The crowd roared, but the vibe was dark. Everyone was tired of the wasted talent. The constant noise, the circus that replaced what should have been a GOAT-tier career. The league's golden boy turned into a punchline for morning talk shows. That's where Zion stood as this first chapter ends. Claims filed, denials made, the team putting on a brave face, but the chaos was out in the open. To fans, he was cooked. Now for the part explaining how it fell apart. The hidden history. To get why this Zion saga hit so hard, why the legal heat and relationship drama felt so heavy, you have to look at the massive weight on him from day one. It wasn't just skill, it was once-in-a-generation hype. The Pelicans took him first in the 2019 draft out of Duke. He was only 19, nearly 300 pounds, but moved with a freakish agility for his size. Being called the next Barkley, a young Shaq, or a LeBron hybrid wasn't just talk. Pro scouts who've seen it all were dead serious. Nobody had ever seen that much power and talent in one guy. The Pelicans were desperate for a spark, and Zion was the promised savior. But then the medical woes kicked in, becoming a relentless cycle. During an October 13th, 2019 preseason matchup, a torn meniscus in his right knee sidelined the Phenom. Following surgery and 44 missed games, he finally suited up against the Spurs on January 22nd, 2020. He stepped onto the floor and delivered 22 points without missing a single shot. The arena erupted as the NBA witnessed exactly what the hype predicted. Across 24 rookie appearances, he posted 22.5 points and 6.3 boards, plus 2.1 assists while maintaining incredible efficiency, earning all-rookie first-team honors despite a truncated debut year. His potential seemed absolutely boundless. The 2021 campaign saw a thumb sprain in April and a broken finger in May, ending his run early. Yet prior to those setbacks, he was dominant, averaging 27 points and 7.2 rebounds on 61.1% shooting. He notched his first All-Star nod while appearing in 61 of 72 contests. He was delivering on the hype until the 2021 offseason changed everything for the worse. A broken right foot forced Zion under the knife yet again. He sat out the whole 2021-22 schedule, all 82 games. For 12 straight months, the superstar remained completely out of action. The cornerstone of New Orleans' future was nowhere to be found on the court. The fallout was incredibly harsh. Viral images of a heavier Zion flooded the internet and national news cycles. His physical conditioning became the lead story across every sports network. Critics openly doubted his dedication to the profession. People wondered if New Orleans got fleeced or if a top pick could bust before year 3. During sit-downs in March 2026, Zion admitted that time was his rock bottom, facing nonstop heat about his weight and passion for hoops. He felt defeated, simply wanting to get back to the game he loved. He viewed those physical struggles as painful but necessary lessons for his growth. He insisted that the claims of him being lazy were the most painful insults to endure, noting that being sidelined hurt him more than any frustrated fan. His 2022-23 comeback offered flashes of that generational talent. By late December 2022, he torched the Timberwolves for a career-best 43 points. Putting up 26 nightly, he had New Orleans winning and the skeptics finally quieting down. But on January 2nd, 2023, a late-game hamstring pull against Philly derailed the momentum. A minor injury report ballooned into a season-ending absence, including the postseason. He only managed 29 appearances before the lights went out, sidelined once more until the 2023-24 campaign finally offered hope. He clocked a personal record 70 games played. Averaging nearly 23 points and 5 assists, he showed a much more refined passing game. He was reading the floor like a veteran. Fans were finally seeing the elite version of Zion that scouts had raved about for years. It was short-lived, as another hamstring issue in the play-in bled into the next season. The 2024-25 run crumbled almost immediately. A minor hamstring tear sidelined him in November 2024. Recovery stalled for 60 days before a spinal issue killed his season in late March 2025. He played just 30 games. Sidelined again while the Pelicans tanked. 6 seasons into his career, Zion has logged only 269 games out of 550 plus, effectively missing 3 whole seasons of action. His numbers were elite when he played, but availability wasn't. Add the lawsuits and money drama, and the outlook gets dark. In July 2023, California's Anchor PBC sued Williamson in a New Orleans federal court, naming his mother, Sharonda Sampson, and his stepfather, Lee Anderson. The firm alleged they loaned him $2 million in September 2021 for real estate while trying to land an endorsement deal with him. Only $500,000 was repaid by April 2023 under a grace, period, leaving nearly $1.8 million in the wind. A separate $25,000 check had already bounced. No public settlement was ever reached. The case just vanished from the news. Before that, the Gina Ford lawsuit hit, a $100 million contract war that started before his pro debut. Ford, an agent from Florida, sued the moment he ditched their April 2019 agreement signed during his Duke days. She claimed foul play by CAA, who eventually signed him. Williamson's lawyers argued the contract was legal garbage from the start. Ford wasn't a licensed agent in North Carolina, failing the state's strict rules for student-athlete deals. In 2021, a federal court ruled completely in Zion's favor. By May 2024, the appeals court unanimously upheld the win. Ford got 0, Zion won big. But legal wins don't erase the bad headlines. By 2025, Zion's name was tied to lawsuits, paternity claims, family drama, and assault allegations. The baggage had become its own PR disaster. Top analysts like Brian Windhorst warned that his personal life was a major concern. Personalities like Perk and Austin Rivers started asking if the Pelicans should trade him. Insiders suggested the team might build around rookie Derek Queen and admit the Zion era failed. New Orleans still owed roughly $87 million in salary through early 2026. That money is locked in, no matter the legal or social media noise. The team kept making the right public statements. They called him their foundation. They claimed to be fully committed. Management pointed to his stats while active, insisting the vision hadn't wavered. But cornerstone has 2 meanings, one that anchors a future, and another that functions like an iron weight you're stuck dragging, whether you like it or not. As this second chapter concludes, that distinction has become impossible to look past. The physical breakdowns, the massive deals, and the pile of legal friction, some settled, some lingering in limbo. The personal turbulence only stacked more weight on top of everything else. It wasn't about proving a crime or seeking a final judgment. It was the slow assembly of a recurring cycle, traced through 7 years of public headlines. Now comes the inevitable fallout. So, what's the next move? There is a specific narrative often pushed in civil courtrooms. 0 criminal charges is the line, and it's technically true. By March 2026, Zion Williamson had never faced handcuffs, a formal indictment, or any police-led prosecution regarding these claims. No jury has ever found him guilty of a crime. No judge has handed down a prison term. Yet, life has its own way of handing out sentences. You have the kind read aloud in a courtroom, then you have the one forged by reality, the heavy weight of mounting drama, whispers, lost playoff runs, and a reputation that cements itself regardless of what any gavel decides. As of March 2026, Zion Williamson is enduring that second kind of punishment, and its burden is far more crushing than most realize. That Jane Doe civil suit is still churning. No payout, no throwaway, and no court date on the books. 0 high-profile legal updates have surfaced recently. Litigation is crawling through the system at its typical, agonizingly slow pace, lurking in the shadows, ready to explode back into the news with total destructive power. The mountain of proof the accuser's lawyer keeps mentioning hasn't actually faced a jury's scrutiny yet. Conversely, his camp's claims of an extortion plot haven't been validated by any court either. This legal marathon is far from the finish line, which keeps the narrative wide open. That $1.8 million loan spat with anchor PBC, involving alleged unpaid debts, remains an open wound with no public fix as of early 2026. Those January 2026 paternity rumors involving Alyssa Alcantara are still floating, unverified, and messy. Then there's Mariah Mills, who tapped attorney Tony Busby for a potential lawsuit in 2025, only to have the firm pass on the case. No formal filing, no closure, just persistent static that refuses to go silent. Back on the hardwood, the place where the focus was always supposed to stay, the 2025-26 campaign has been a roller coaster of what if, shifting with every weekly update. Zion showed up for the 2025 season in elite shape, the leanest we've seen him. He reportedly clocked in at 264 pounds following a brutal summer training regimen. He claimed to feel more explosive than his days back at Duke. And for a long stretch, his performance on the court actually proved it. He managed to string together 35 straight appearances starting in mid-December. By the middle of March 2026, he'd logged 55 games, putting up 21.3 points and 5.8 boards, while dishing 3.3 assists on nearly 60% shooting. His scoring touch remains undeniable. Nobody ever doubted his raw ability. You still catch glimpses of that generational greatness every time he touches the ball, but his frame keeps betraying him. A minor hamstring issue in November 2025 sidelined him for over a week. Then, a right hip strain in December forced him out for another 3-week stretch. Most recently, a rolled ankle in March 2026 snapped his streak, reigniting those durability whispers once again. This same old cycle of greatness ruined by constant leg injuries hasn't been broken. Every healthy run is just a timeout. The Pelicans aren't helping. New Orleans is currently in a tailspin. The wins aren't coming. Their playoff future looks incredibly grim. Meanwhile, rookie Derek Queen has become a real piece for their future. His play has quietly changed how the team views its direction. But the financial reality is set in stone. New Orleans owes Williamson nearly $87 million over 2 years. Trading that massive contract and his toxic reputation is nearly impossible. Cutting him would be a total financial disaster. Essentially, the front office is backed into a corner, backing their star in public while drowning in drama behind closed doors. It all started like a standard highlight reel. A generational talent, a former #1 pick, a household name in hoops. But that same reputation eventually started to feel very different, turning toxic as dark stories began to leak out. One woman spoke out with claims, then another followed. Then even more voices joined the fray. Scandals and personal drama soon became impossible to ignore. Slowly, Zion's image shifted until by 2026, the mask finally slipped for everyone to see, and it wasn't the guy fans expected. That Los Angeles case remains active. Whenever that story goes public again, it is going to bring absolute chaos with it. In interviews from March 2026, Williamson got real about the cost. He said the worst jabs weren't about fitness, but that he didn't care. People claimed he was wasting his gift by choosing comfort over greatness. He tackled those claims directly. They criticized my weight and my heart. I hit rock bottom, he said. He wants to play. He's always said that's his goal. But whether his body holds up or if the public even lets the basketball be the focus is still a massive unknown. So what's the penalty? It's not a jail sentence. No one's going inside. There are no convictions, no plea deals, and no crimes proven. There hasn't even been a civil verdict yet. Legally, he is still an innocent man in any courtroom, but the court of public opinion has already made its decision. He's trapped by franchise uncertainty and the shadow of a lost legacy. Think of a number one pick with the handles of a guard and the strength of a center. A potential league legend. That sense of failure started long before the first lawsuit appeared. The Pelicans still call him their franchise cornerstone. They might believe it, or they might just have no other choice. At $87 million, being loyal and being stuck look exactly the same. Zion's future is a total coin toss. If that civil suit goes to trial, it'll be the biggest sports legal circus in ages. Those paternity rumors might turn into a real legal war. Will his body keep failing like it has for 7 straight years? The Pelicans might just decide that draft picks and cap space are worth more than this. But here's the reality. A generational talent meant to be the face of the league is now a headline for everything but actual hoops. The massive gap between the Zion we expected and the man we see in early 2026 is a verdict on its own. Regardless of any judge, some goodbyes are shouted, others are just felt. Blown away by this story? Dive into more insane videos right here on the screen. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you in the next one.